upwards of 908 members in a single location, paying upwards of $400 or $500 a month, true semi-private rates.
People don't give a shit about results. I think a lot of people just want to start exercising and is hyper focus on don't sell them the plane flight, sell them the destination. I kind of reject that. And I think making an awesome plane flight is actually the best way to get people to want to go on vacation.
Welcome to the Gym Member Machine Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the distinct pleasure today. Your earballs are in for an absolute treat. James, my buddy on the other side, is already cringing in his boots at a now very edited intro because I don't get to share the one story that I was hoping I'd be able to share publicly on the podcast. But on a more serious note, GMM podcast listeners, we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming someone who I think should be way the heck more industry famous. You've heard me, if you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard me talk about James and their incredible operation and how much he has broken my beliefs and changed my beliefs on what makes gyms win in this industry. He's the owner of Pratt Personal Training. Originally, I think the most successful single location gym I had seen grow without paid ads, paid marketing, any of the digital stuff. You were already wildly successful before you came into the GMM universe, and then became what I think is literally the most successful single location training gym. So there's no, leave me alone and let me train component to what you guys do. Upwards of 908 members in a single location, paying upwards of $400 or $500 a month to not get too deep into the price point, James, right? Like right. True semi-private rates.
Somewhere between 3 and 5, I'd probably say. So the 1 day a week is paying about 300.
Yeah, 1 day a week. So minimum memberships of 300, 908 members, all doing semi-private training out of a single location before they had to move their entire operation into a tent for how many months?
3
months in a training. Again, you drop down to like 400 something members in a tent. Also happens to just quietly during this window open a second location that got full inside of 6 months, where you've got a waiting list 40 people long. Like, this guy is a genius in the industry. He's one of the most product focused, just aliens that I have ever met in the industry. And I'm so excited to share some James Pratt wisdom with you guys today. James, welcome to the show. Congratulations on being the first guest, by the way. I'm so excited.
And I had to beg to be on here. So I thank you for the intro, but just so the audience knows, GR didn't ask me to be on the podcast. I had to text him and say, hey, you've name dropped me twice and I feel some kind of way about it, and I want to be on the podcast. So that's how I got the invite. So note to all the listeners, if you want to get on this podcast, just text GR and tell them. And then who knows?
Yeah,
maybe land a deal.
Text me a really grumpy text about how I might need to rein in what's happening on the podcast and make my blood pressure go sky high, add 52 gray hairs to the 5,000 already in my luxurious mane of hair, and then leave me sitting there like anxiety ridden for however many minutes. It felt like hours, right? As I'm sitting here waiting for your 3 dots to percolate. Cause I'm like, should I just call him? He seems really grumpy. It turns out that gets you on the podcast. So we're in for a treat. James, here's where I want to start. Because I think when people hear, okay, I've got 2 locations, I have 900 members in a single location, and then, train in a tent, literally training outdoors in New Jersey for months, maintaining a good chunk of that membership, but then having to build back up again to 800 in the new location. They're like this guy, he must be some sort of alien and got all this capital from the outside and whatever else. And so I think it's important because your story is eerily similar to the lion's share of gym owners that we work with in terms of where you got started. It's like, give me the history, the origin story of Pratt Personal Training.
Yeah, I was working with a lot of athletes at the time. So the whole small group personal training / semi-private concept was just because I had a vision of training athletes simultaneously and being able to get them into the gym 2 to 4 days per week instead of 1 because of the price point associated with one-on-one. And highly motivated by some of the stuff I was hearing from Rick Mayo back in 2013, 14. And also in terms of Vince Gabriel, who was running a custom program, small group personal training model for the 40 hours that I interned there. And also huge Boyle fan at the time. So all these things that I'm hearing about the small group model, at the same time, I was fortunate enough to have extremely full personal training books. So I'm like, if I transition all my athletes into a small group, I'm like, I love programming, I love training, and this sounds like it's right up my alley. So at some point in time, I wanted to run the model. The business I was working for at the time, they didn't want to take the gamble of having me lose my one-on-one clients justifiably. So they're like, if you want to do this, maybe you should start a business and you could pay us rent instead of having us take the risk of having you acquire the same amount of business and then us take our percentage. So I was game for that. I mean, that's a very short version of it, but essentially I ended up renting space there, and then I ended up paying with a percentage of our gross revenue. And in 2016, we started with mostly athletes. By the time 2018 rolled around, we were starting to notice that we were probably making a bigger difference in our adult population based off of the feedback we would get from them. Like there were more hugs, there was more crying, there was more "you're changing my life" type of stuff that we greatly appreciated. So you kind of saw this transition of me plus four other employees and trainers that heavily gravitated towards athlete populations start to have higher appreciation for adults. And we did a couple 1 through 10s. Which population do you like training more? And the numbers flipped over time. And we had less consistent attendance with the athletes. They weren't paying as much in regards to on an annual basis. So we're like, what if we just try harder with the adults? And we did, and things started to grow pretty fast after that. This was still heavily organic. And then by the time 2020 came around, that's when I started to think, if we actually learn how to do sales and marketing a little bit, and we get some people that aren't just referrals, and we find clients in a different way than begging our current clients for referrals, then we might be going somewhere here. And at that time, we were probably 350, 400 members deep. So then, intro to BFU, I called up Mark Fisher. I remember his reaction was kind of like, "You're doing pretty well." I think at that point in time, we were probably 300 to 400 members, and he's like, I don't really know what you're chasing here. I don't know if we could help you." And I was kind of like, "I think you could help me a lot, because what I think you specialize in is exactly what I'm missing." And ignoring the member count and the revenue right now, we don't do any of the things that you guys do really well. So, in being influenced by BFU, and then uh, having a more heavy hand in marketing, hiring Dave, your employee now, and then hiring you guys, we ended up bringing in a lot more leads. And I think the product at that point was solidified because our program was 100% product centric for the first 5 years of its existence. So then getting people in, um, we probably had a greater benefit than most, being that we were heavily invested in optimal customer experiences. So once that happened, it was kind of off to the races. And then, that led to us wanting to open up the second gym, and the first gym getting up to 900 plus members, 11 trainers, all small group personal training, no other products. We don't sell protein shakes or Quest chips, although I wish the latter was available. Uh, but ultimately, that's all we do.
Love my
Small group
Quest
personal
chips.
training, 10 sessions a day, 30 members per hour, in our Warren location. The Hillsboro one is the micro gym. That's your classic one trainer, 6-to-1 model there. And yeah, I mean, despite the recent turbulence of having to relocate and train outside in a tent, in a wedding tent, while our gym was being built out, luckily it was in 3 months where the weather was good enough to get us by. Everything's gone pretty well, from the outside looking in. It's been a lot of work to do it. It's required a lot of great people. I'm very fortunate in that regard. But yeah, I really can't complain too much these days, 10 years into business.
I mean, it's insane to me because you guys, you said you connected with Fisher. And P.S. BFU highly recommended, a strategic partner with Gym Member Machine. But Fisher, the genius that he is, when did you connect with him originally? You said 2020.
Yeah, yeah, we jumped on a phone call, and I believe it was right after COVID, maybe 2021.
And then at that point, you're already at 300, 400 members, right? Again, doing this small group personal training, but you guys do customized programming. That's one of the things that you've hung your hat on, right, over the years. You're already at 300, 400 members, which is well beyond the point that most gyms would even like dream of getting to. And that's without doing any of this crazy marketing stuff, like just pure product centric feedbackaholics, I think when I think of you, I think like feedback, feedback, feedback. How can I just receive the feedback, optimize, iterate on the product, what have you? How were you was it all referrals? Were you doing anything else to get to that first critical mass? Obviously you've been in business a handful of years at that point already, but where'd you get those first 300, 400 members from?
Yeah. When I was training, I would ask nonstop. Like I had 2-week trial cards and I wouldn't even hand them out, but I would just flash them. And I had a good enough relationship with everybody that it was kind of more so like ball busting, like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't care about your husband. Got it. You don't care if he gains weight. Like it was just a fun environment. The first few hundred members, not saying it's not now, just things have changed. But those first couple hundred members, you're just joking around about bringing their spouse in, bringing their family in, bringing your mom, bringing your dad, the kids, bringing your parents. We also ran like 3, 4 times a year. We'd run a special over the course of the month that was pretty much exclusively internal. And then it would just give the trainers a reason to talk about it. And the staff, I mean, the first 5, and this isn't a knock on the staff now, the staff's awesome, but scaling the referral ask and the intrinsic desire to see the business grow is much tougher once you're double digit employees. But those first 5 that I had were heavy on we're nothing right now and we want to be a monster. And like everyone shared that mindset and everybody acted like a business owner. And I think that was probably rare. And that was a big reason why we were organically able to get to those first few hundred faster than most, even without a true sales and marketing strategy outside of internal plays and referral asks.
I want to zoom in on that. That's fun. So what do you think contributed to your initial staff being like stone cold killers?
I was lucky to have a couple of people that walked in that were I would consider like very high achievers
Okay.
on day one. So we had John, who now owns an alloy, and
Hmm.
he was a construction guy, and you could just tell he's like, I want to be a personal trainer. I love it. I don't really like my job right now, and I want to be really good at this. And it's like I 100% believe every single word you say. Like there's not an inauthentic bone in your body. I could tell right now. So getting him to become a good personal trainer was very easy. It was like, watch me, let's have conversations. And then like, this is how I program. And then this is how I train people. And like, maybe like try not to be a little bit too pushy with the members. That's probably the only critical feedback I have for you right now. Like sometimes you're a little bit too strong. Kyle was a baseball player and he had just finished up a pro baseball stint and he hired me and like he had no money at the time. He hired me as his personal trainer and we were doing a bunch of athletic movement training and he had a bunch of injuries. So, throw in some PRI and FRC drills and stuff. And he's like, "Dude, this stuff is really cool. And I'm seeing some results." He's like, I'm just throwing this out here. Like, what if I intern here? And I was like, yeah, well, if you're really looking for something baseball specific, you should go see Cressy. So the dude goes and he interns for Cressy for a week or so and then comes back. He's like, hey, I interned at Cressy. I was like, wait, you went and interned? So I'm like, all right, like come on board. And he's the one person I tell the story of. Like we didn't need him. We had no room for another employee, but I'm like, I want this kid. Like there's whatever it is that he is able to do, he will find a way to be good at it. And he would be the first to tell you that he wasn't talented at any one specific position. The first day he started, he would not qualify as a great trainer. He wouldn't have qualified as a great salesperson. And then he ended up being outstanding at both of those, even present day. And he's still with us. Colin was an awesome trainer from day one. He's probably more of a specialist than the others. It's like he's so good at training and so disinterested in doing anything else that he's kind of always filled that training and programming role and he loves it. And like he thrives off a certain degree of autonomy, which works well in our programming system. So he's always been awesome. And then, you know, probably someone getting shared MVP votes would be Sydney when she came around in, I guess, 2019. She was just awesome, just a great trainer, and she's good at everything. So when there was a bunch of dudes there who like really weren't that organized and were just kind of like lighting fires everywhere and seeing what happens, she was kind of the one to, put the fires out and organize everything and be like, hey, maybe we're going too far here, or like, hey, why don't we like focus on one thing? Like, all right, fine, whatever. So it all seemingly worked out really well in terms of them just the foundation of the type of people they were awesome. And I'm sure there's more I'm leaving out in the early days. There was a kid, Anthony, who was awesome, and he was there for a couple years. But then after that, I was just talking about this earlier, a few hours ago in a meeting, was like there was probably a degree of like the owner is heavily involved and he works 100 hours a week. Like that probably had some sort of effect. There was never a motivational speech. There was never a moment in which I said like, "Hey, if you don't do it the James way, you're out." Like there was none of that.
Hmm.
It was just like, "This is what I do, and you guys are welcome to come aboard." And they kind of wanted to be part of it at the beginning. So there was no trickery. There was no motivational speech. There was no like uh, team events. There was no trust falls. It just like we had good people, and then we did a bunch of positive things, and we all shared a similar mindset. And maybe a certain degree of my work ethic or like training competence, programming competence played a role in some of that. But ultimately, like none of that is valuable. None of what I bring to the table is valuable if I don't have the right person.
Yeah, I think it's an overlooked thing with anybody with a team, because I've talked about this in the past where I've done consulting for gyms where this is back, like, I don't recommend doing this, but I was like, I'm going to do level 10 meetings and do actual like high level consulting. And it was a guy with one employee. He's like, I can't get my employee in to do anything, like da da da. We do the first L10 meeting. Employee's got tasks. He's got tasks. We get to the next meeting and he's pissed that his employee didn't do anything. Well, neither did he. Right. So well, what do you expect? Right. I think like you're such a shining example. Even so Dave used to be on the Pratt team. Like I have heard legendary stories from the work ethic of James Pratt from, when Dave came to us. So you're living it. And I think it makes it it's the Charleston talk from way back in the day, right? You see the owner doing the things and living the mission, vision, etc. Well, guess what? Like that's going to make it more likely that the team believes in where things are going too. So I think that's a hyper important point. Tactically speaking, just so we give our dear gym owners some little micro tactical nuggets, was there anything you guys were doing on the referral ask side that you feel like made things magical? Like I love the humor piece. I think that's a big, hey, like we're having fun with it. We're flashing the car and I'm busting balls a little bit. Like if you got that personality, like by all means, make this stuff fun. But was there anything else, anything tactically that you think was impactful to get to that member number?
Yeah, I'd say more recently, the last 6 years, we on the back of our programs, we wanted to ask ourselves what's something we could do that would mandate the referral ask that isn't random. So it became this: when you finish a program, we always have a referral ask, and it comes on the hind legs of receiving feedback of the current program and asking for requests for the next program. So there's this mandatory interaction of what is your experience at this point? Where do you want to go next? And oh, by the way, do you have a friend or family member? Because the ability to say, like, oh, you don't care about your family probably only exists for me and maybe a couple other people. Our brand new intern or trainer does not have the right to say those things yet to our members that have been here for 7 years. Although it might be a little bit funny to watch that interaction, we definitely don't want to promote it. So it's like how do we systematize this referral ask? So it's a very simple. You have to talk about this program as they're finishing the program. That the last 4 days, we try to have the trainers repeat this every single time. What did you like specifically about this program? What did you not like? And then next program, what are your requests? And then what are some of the exercises that you definitely want on your next program? What are some of the exercises you definitely do not want? And then, oh, by the way, if you'd like, you can gift a referral. We worded a very specific way. You could gift a free trial to somebody, write down their name, write down their phone number. We try to write it in for them. That would be optimal if they have their cell phone with them with their number. We try to get their information right there. If not, if we don't get it, we get this. All that being said, we get the referral 15% of the time. So I've gotten a lot of questions about this of people saying like, oh, like how do you get referrals from all your members? Like we don't. It's like we
Right.
ask all of our members to get 15% of our members to give us a referral. in which we only convert 30% of those people because our referral quality goes down the more people we ask. So the people that were better at strong arming end up giving us a name and number, and it's somebody who's less qualified, who may not even be interested and may ask us why we're even contacting them in the first place. But like that's, that's the cost of doing business. You have to be willing to hear no plenty. And then, after that, if they do not give anybody, if they do not give a name or number, we have our programmers reach out via text, just one last shot. Like, I saw you left this blank. Were you thinking of anybody? No big deal. Just let us know. And then, that's our last stab at getting the referrals. So we'll get some referrals in that way. If somebody's on a rush on their way out, or they don't give us somebody that, or they're like, we're thinking of somebody, we'll leave a question mark. And that kind of hints to the programmer of, send this person a text because they're considering someone.
For the gym owner that's like just getting started, they don't have money to solve the growth problem. And it's so interesting. It's like all the stuff you're saying right now, right? Let's make sure our product is on freaking point. Let's leverage the power of free, right? And I've said this on the podcast before, like, you broke my beliefs. I won't name drop. We took on a client of a somewhat prominent name in the industry, and they're guru space type individual that still happens to own a gym. And I've not name dropped them before, so anyone who's listening, like, if you're doing process of elimination, I'm not talking about any of the folks that you've heard me talk about before. And they're like, yeah, we don't do free, freeze, tire kickers and and everything else. And my argument now is, if you can't turn free people into clients, then maybe the answer for why that's the case is not the leads, it's the human or the product in the mirror, right? See, that would be a really great transition into our super fun story from staring into your freaking soul.
Yeah,
but again, we won't go there. We won't go there today. That's for the after hours members only paywall podcast. If you want that, let us know. Yeah, it's like do you know what you were giving out all these trials? Were y'all doing free 30-day to get to that first critical mass at all, or was that something that happened later?
Yeah, we've changed it a bunch. We started with 14, went to 21, went to 30, went back to 14. Right now it's 14, but we have this year our plan is, we did the January free, almost like a pre-sale, the same way we ran the pre-sale in both. Essentially, that was our pre-sale for Warren, and it was also our pre-sale in Hillsborough. So having the end date for the free trial, I think, was a game changer for us, because it's always been 30 days. It's like, all right, I'll tell them next week when we go out to dinner, and then they'll respond 2 weeks later. And like, we stick on that shit. So like, we're going to keep contacting people until they definitively tell us no. That's likely a small differentiator for us. It's like, oh, they said next week, never mind. And like, we're not going to give up on people. But outside of that, having the true end date, the end cap to that, creates the urgency. And like, we have scarcity too. We legitimately probably can't take above a certain amount of members. And it might sound crazy to be like, hey, we're only taking 100 people, but we get 180 leads every month. So it's not unreasonable for us to hit that number. But yeah, I think that was a big piece to it. I'd also say, just like from the standpoint of free, but I think it's kind of surface level to say that the reason you do free is to differentiate qualified from unqualified, or the reason you should do the LBO is to have them have some skin in the game, or sell right into the membership. There's nothing wrong with any of it, but that's my objective is like, how many people are going to call you that are qualified day one? It's going to be a certain percentage, probably a small one. How many people are not going to be qualified? A certain percentage, probably a small amount. How many people are on the fence? Fucking everybody, excuse my language, but everybody's unsure. So how do you make them less unsure? You say, like, you can say the slickest things in the world, but everyone's smart enough to know that you're full of shit. So like, you might as well just say, come try it. Like, why not try it for free? You do it for 14 days. You're going to get 4 to 6 sessions in. After that, you'll know, and then just do it. Like, we're not going to hard sell you or anything. We're going to Netflix close you. You're going to choose a membership because it's a little bit too much work for have us reach back out to you and have to resell you. But cancel your membership before day 14. You never pay $1. You get 6 free sessions. Like I can't think of anything that sounds unfair about that. Even if you're on the no side of the fence right now, it's probably still worth it. And then in terms of law of reciprocity and just, being a good person, they're more likely to sign up if they like your product and they think you're not full of shit. So those are the two things that we try to heavily signal in the sales process.
Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head what the conversion rate typically is on folks from these free trials?
Yeah, it's just south of 40. Like we're between 35 and 40%. And that's the that includes like we have some metrics that give us like false inflated like returners. Like we get like 10 to 20 returners every month and they count as a lead in a conversion. But
Hmm.
ultimately, largely we'll close close to 40% of our referrals, and then we'll close between 15 to 20% of the leads we get from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Which still isn't bad. Now, is that trial takers to memberships, or is that across the board, like lead to close?
That's not yeah, that is from 2 free trial, and then from free trial to close is 85%. Is
Okay. So
83. Yeah, 83, I think exactly.
okay. Yeah, that's a different number. Because I was going to say, well, like 35-40%, but you're probably pushing so much volume and you're converting people on a high pricing on the back end, like 35-40% of turning a free trial into a membership isn't bad. So you're saying it's like 80% plus. If someone does a trial at Pratt,
You're
y'all
signing.
are
Yeah,
turning
you will
80% of those
yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
5 out of
Okay.
5 out of 6, you will be a paid member, 5 out of 6 people.
I feel like we just broke the industry's beliefs, like
Yeah, and, I
totally,
mean, if
right?
you double click on it, it's like the product does have to be good. We create a little bit of friction on the front end, like the questionnaire that we set up with you guys, I thought was awesome because it's not meant to be "Oh, do you take your workout seriously? If not, leave our page." It's more of like, this is exactly who it's for, and even if the questions are you nervous about coming to the gym? And, like, are you between 40 and 60, younger or older? And, have you struggled being consistent? Like, that answer is yes for almost everybody, and even if it is no, it doesn't mean that you're not willing to try it.
Yeah.
I just think it so strongly signals to the masses, like, this probably is for me, and the few people that the questions don't necessarily hit, I don't think it's a disqualifier. I don't think they're saying, like, "No, I'm not nervous to go to the gym. Never mind, I'm not going here." But largely that's who we're trying to attract. We're trying to attract the people that we can make the biggest net difference in their life if they opt in and they try it and they say, shit, I have not been a fitness person for 30 years, but I just realized it's because I took, Johnny's boot camp and they beat the living shit out of me. And I had knee pain for 6 years after that. And this place is much different. I could tell just based on the conversation I had with them before I even came in to work out. And then never mind the competence signaling that I'm getting from not only just the assessment workout, but also the trainers I'm working with, the 6-to-1 ratio, the fact that they document everything, they set up my weights. Like all those things are they're strongly signaling exactly what we want our customers to experience.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the because we were talking about trials on the group coaching call today, and I said, does the carpet match the drapes? And so for you guys, you're signaling competence with the conversation that you're having with members, right? Okay, like these people seem like they're sharp, and they're telling me, okay, there's a low pressure way to get in and try the thing. Like if the carpet doesn't match the drapes, if you sound super competent, you can be the most competent sounding individual in spew whatever amazing training knowledge or connection to the prospect or whatever it is on the actual sales conversation. But if the carpet doesn't match the drapes in the product side, right? If they don't have a great experience on that front, guess what? Like they're going to cancel, right? The Netflix close does not mean, and for those that are wondering, Netflix close is just, okay, we're going to talk about the membership options that are going to happen after the free trial, whatever duration the free trial is. If you decide you want to continue, nothing has to happen. It's just like Netflix. You're going to be billed on day 15 if it's a 14-day free trial, day 31 or whatever if it's a 30-day free trial. Otherwise, if you decide you want to cancel, just let us know sometime during that trial period, and you'll never pay a dime, right? So there's I think some simplicity and some art to that. I do think it's also important to reiterate, like you guys were not bait and switching with any of these free trial offers, programs, what have you, right? The Netflix close is literally, you're starting for free. Tell us you want to cancel. before the end of the trial date, you'll never be billed. Otherwise, it'll roll into XYZ option that I'm assuming you guys have prescribed in the sales process for that individual on the other side.
We didn't have any intra-trial offer or any like, "Hey, you made it. Let's sign up now. You get an extra 10% discount." Like, there was nothing like that. It's just on the front end, it simply was, "This is free time. Your membership starts on this day." And it's very important for us. We made this mistake for a while, and this has also been something that might be helpful, is like, we don't make a big deal about closing calls or sales calls or the point of now that you transition from free member to paid member. And that's how we actually, those are how we define those people now. We don't say there's a, hey, now they're a member. It's like, no, they're a member the first time you talk to them on the phone. They are a member.
Love that.
And then we even track it. Like if they come in for an assessment, they sign up for a membership and they're doing the first 14 days free. They are a member, and everything we track from this point forward is a attrition metric. It is not a sales. This is no longer a sales job. The sales job was get the person on the phone, understand what their issues are, get them in for a starting point session, take them through a great first workout, and then have them choose a membership that's the best fit for them. After that, it's all on delivery. If someone cancels a week into their membership, that's a conversation we have with our operations and our trainers. That's not a conversation we have with our sales team.
Nice. I love that. I feel like a good transition point here, James, is the product focus, right? So you are, I feel like, the most product focused, and maybe that's being disparaging to some of my other gym owner friends that I love so dearly and I think are also so smart and amazing. But you're one of the most product focused humans that I have ever crossed paths with. What does product focused actually mean to you, and how does that get operationalized at Pratt?
Yeah. I mean, if I were to dwindle it down to two variables, it's, what does the customer want? What does the customer need? And how do we mesh those two? I guess I'd first speak to the mistake on both ends. It's like, one, if somebody comes in and you say, this is what we do, this is what we offer. Sure, there's some operational simplicity in being able to do that. But I think we missed the boat a lot in what the member wants. And I don't think it's that hard to tweak a couple things to drastically change the experience. So we will play around with programming variables quite a bit, and we've systematized them. We've minimized the options, but we still need to have a conversation to make decisions to optimize the likelihood that the member has a great experience. It starts with the simple things. Like you have to say hello when they walk in. Like it's like, and I don't want to give you guys a script. I don't want you guys to think that I'm trying to orchestrate a play and having you say hello. But do you guys think it's important to say hello to people when they first walk in because they're scared shitless? Do you think it's fair that we say hello? Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's all do that. I don't care how you do it. We generally fist bump. But if some of you say hi, some of you say hello, some of you say what's up, I don't care. But they should be greeted in 60 seconds. So like it starts with simple things like that. And then it goes into like the programming, which I think the biggest piece, like a lot of people, a lot of conversations I'll have with trainers, how could you like you customize the program, but it's this, like, if we just gave one program, it's the same thing. Like how much different are you really getting? And I just don't think that matters. I think it's the fact that we're mandated to have a one-on-one conversation to extract data, to give them a custom experience that's largely determined by the custom program. And that's the differentiator. And I think that can be replicated without custom programs. You just have to put a lot of work into it. So I don't think it's unreasonable for you to, even if you're running a large group gym with 500 members, I don't think it's unreasonable. And I'm not saying accountability calls. Hey, schedule this call, jump on a call. Like I'm saying, like they're in a class and you take the extra 30 seconds after. How'd you like the workout? What'd you like? What'd you not like? And then next time that Bob, the 62-year-old, says, I hate lunges, like they make me not want to be here. Next time you give lunges, remember that and tell them to go do bicep curls. Fuck. Like like, I don't know if it's that challenging. And then we just leverage the custom program to do that. So like our trainers and our programmers, they have to have certain conversations with certain members at certain points for us to get information and data from them, for us to optimize their experience, not to give them what they want. We're not playing duck, duck, goose in our training sessions. But if there's a lady that wants to do more hip thrusting and less bicep curls, what's the issue in doing that? Like, are we really going to have the debate of like, oh, you're going to lose symmetry if you do more glutes and you do like, no, they're not stepping on stage. They want to do more hip thrusts. As simple as that. And then the guys that are doing single leg RDLs and embarrassed because they're losing their balance every 2 seconds, like, why don't we just not do that? Why don't we just let them do something else and let's have the program speak to that? Number one, let's have them say it to us, like they say they prefer X instead of Y. And then we create a program that has respect for Y more so than X. And then we roll out the program. And then more important than just the program being specific to them, they see that we took the specific information that they gave us and we had respect for it and we implemented it.
Preach. I think that's freaking, because you guys have, because you gave an incredible talk in Vegas, however many years ago, when we were still doing in-person events for GMM. Maybe one day again, and then we'll get you on the stage again. It'll be fun, but it's like babies, James, and you're in this now, right?
That's right.
Running live events is like having babies. Your biology forces you to forget how painful the first 6, 12, 24 months was, and allows you to say, hey, screw it, let's do it again. And then you're in the same cycle of no sleep and shit and diapers. And again, depending on what your life plan is, then you're like, oh yeah, let's do another, screw it. That's definitely what live events are like. But you guys, we're back on track. ADD brain's working. You have, I feel like, so many layers of gathering feedback from the customer. So you're having individual conversations. The trainers, I'm assuming, you're coached to be garnering feedback live in sessions. Your programs have built-in feedback mechanisms. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to see more of next time, or what have you? How often are y'all changing programs for people?
Every 32 sessions. So they all get a 4-day
sessions.
Yeah, they all get a 4-day program regardless of how often they're coming. And then they do that for 8 rounds.
Okay, gotcha. And so then, there's a cadence in there that's built in individualized feedback, which y'all are then acting on, obviously, for the next program. I know y'all used to do secret shopper stuff and member surveys, things like that. Is that still a part of the feedback process?
Yes, very much so. We've changed quite a bit to try to optimize it and get more. So you want me to talk about that?
Sure. Yes, please. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Please
Yeah,
do my
so-
job for me.
So secret shoppers, historically, when I presented in Vegas, we were talking about how we hand selected 50-ish people, gave them a discount. We've changed it quite a bit because that wasn't 100. We weren't getting 100% competency from the people that were supposed to do it. So what we did is we put a QR code on the door, and now it's open to anybody to do it. We still weren't happy with how many we were getting. So now we have a sheet of paper. It's like a little business card. And now there's 10 trainers listed on the left. You check a box. And then there's a 1 through 10 on the right, and you check a box. And then we have our reception staff put that into the system so it could auto populate. And we have a leaderboard still. We still have that. But now we're at the point that we're getting I think we're on track this quarter for 700 secret shopper feedbacks that rate their session 1 through 10. So we've reduced the questions. We had more questions in the past. It's simply 1 through 10. Who was your trainer? What was your experience? Leave comments if you'd like. Simple as that. So we'll get 700-ish of those, hopefully going forward. That's been huge because it's a massive amount of data. So there is no hiding behind, oh, the one person gave me a bad score the one time and it was the luck of the draw. It's like, no, there's 700 people who are voting. And this is the collective consensus of your performance based on the secret shopper session by session. And then we send out questions for quarterly. So I think we have 5 questions on there of how much attention do you feel like you receive when you're in a session with the 10 trainers? They vote 1 through 5 on that. So we have metrics for that. And then our core value scores, which we've rebranded and given different names to. We have workhorse. So still some semblance of the 3 primary virtues from Patrick Lencioni. We have workhorse, team first, and positive energy. Those are our top 3. So the staff scores each other on that. And then that gives us our 3 primary scores that we take into consideration of, what's your session to session score, the secret shopper? What's the quarterly score from the customers? What's their global perspective? I would say a more zoomed out number that they're going to grade with more specific questioning. And then what are your core value scores amongst your teammates? And then we bundle those up, and that's where we kind of start the conversation in regards to what's your performance like, and should you be getting a raise? Should you not? Should you be on a performance plan? Should we start talking about this not being a great fit? And more times than not, way more times than not, I would say, like it's an optimistic conversation. Maybe it's because of how many things we track. Maybe it doesn't matter. But at any rate, I can see very quickly the performance of every single one of our staff members, both in Warren and Hillsborough, just by looking at these numbers.
Dude, that's huge. And I know we're going to talk about marketing at some point and how I really love your hypothesis on the importance of, hey, there's might be people that, maybe I could be as good at this as the marketing agency, but also that frees up a bunch of time for me to actually focus on the thing that's gotten me to this point. Um, obviously your 2 locations, you said how many trainers total?
Yeah, we have 10 trainers in Warren, and then we have 2 in Hillsborough, so 12 total.
And so that's just trainers. You still have CEO stuff to worry about. How are you bleeding down the Pratt methodology to the trainers, right? What does that look like in practice for professional development or whatever the correct term is for you guys?
I don't manage any of the trainers anymore. So we have it with Warren being a bigger gym, we consider it 4 gyms basically. And then we have Hillsborough too. So we have a regional manager, so we sound professional, who oversees
Nice.
all locations, all of Warren and all of Hillsborough. And then we have 2 location managers, quote unquote, inside of Warren. So 2 separate managers inside of there, and then they manage the rest of the team. So my primary job is to influence the regional manager who's like as core values, like scores better than me on every core values rating every quarter. He's just like, and he wasn't even mentioned the original 5, but he's somebody I've known him for 15 years. And he's just such a good dude that like he would rather like he would never allow anybody to like harm the business, and he takes
Nice.
such good pride in it. So he's great, and then we have the 2 location managers who have been there for a while. They've been awesome, and then they manage the rest of the team. So my big responsibility is influence the regional manager, more so of probably like our my biggest lever with him is more so work efficiency now that he's not training and he's in the office and he's got office tasks instead of training tasks, and like influencing him to be good and efficient in the office, and then helping out with like crucial conversations. If anything, if there's any influence I have there, it's probably being a little bit more stern on some things here and there. But for the most part, he sees it, he recognizes it. He just maybe sometimes, in my opinion, has a natural tendency to be kinder than what the situation permits. And like withhold information more so than, not yelling at people, but just like probably not being as forward about like, hey, this is exactly what we need. And I hope there's no confusion here. And like, this is what we need to hold you accountable to. And if it doesn't change in the next 30 days, we're gonna have a different conversation type of thing. So yeah, that's my biggest thing is I send a morning loom to our sales guy. I send a morning loom to our regional manager. And then I check their to-do list, our projects list, and see how we're doing on those things. And then I check their recurring task list daily, weekly, monthly. And then, if they have any issues with any of that stuff, they let me know. If anything else is popping up that's problematic, then and they need my input on, then I jump in there, obviously. And that keeps it fun for me. The most fun thing I could probably do is still be training and be next to the trainers, training all the time. But I also know that the business would have never gotten here and it won't get there if I do that. So being able to work and manage other people who are now managing other people who are managing people to get the job done on the front lines. I think it's been eye opening to me to see number one, how challenging it is, but also how impactful it could be if done right.
Yeah, you're jumping levels quite a bit here. I mean, you're at the point where you've got decision makers and true leaders within the business, and that's really the only way a business this size can function at the level that you guys are functioning. Props for that. I mean, what was the initial transition? You've known this guy for 15 years that is basically your regional manager. Uh, Talk to me about how that sort of came to be? When did you start to make that transition? Did you have the eye, sort of, hey, this is something we're going to need? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the short version would be a long-term tryout. He came on as a trainer 5 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years, and, he did a great job. He was an athletic trainer beforehand, which is always that's always a good start. It seems like they're probably the best with quote unquote "bedside manner" and having that transition to our
Mm,
personal training floor. So he was great with the members. He was great with the staff. Like selfless wouldn't even be the right word of, what he is. His name is Jamie. But, like, he's just a great dude, and then did so well that when we opened up Hillsboro, I was like, he was driving an hour to get to Martinsville, and we were opening Hillsboro. I'm like, I think my number one choice here, depending on your response, is to have you go run that place, you plus one other. And it was an extra 15 minutes, 75 minutes for him now. And he spent the first year in Hillsboro by himself with another trainer, meeting with me once a week. And I would do some random drop ins, and we filled up in no time. And when I would show my face, they'd be, oh, that's the Pratt. Like they like members, yeah, it's great. That they would go out of their way to tell me how awesome he is. And that's when it was obvious. I'm like, he needs to somehow play a larger role in this company as it grows. Because he provides a great customer experience, and he does a great job of coaching up the trainer that he's working with and doing the same. And he's created such an awesome community, which, something eye opening about the smaller model in Hillsboro is the community type atmosphere it could breed with fewer members. Whereas, in Warren right now, having 900 members, 800 members is great. You have a community event, nobody knows anybody. Everyone's just
yeah.
lost. It looks like a networking event. Um, yeah, so but once I saw that, I was like, I need somebody who's going to manage both locations if I'm going to get out of managing this location. Because I was largely treating myself as a regional manager, quote unquote, of Martinsville, and then I had our 2 location managers. So I was like, if there's someone who could replace me in this seat, I'd like to get out of it. He could handle it. So let me have him just jump into my position, and then I'll coach him up on how to run this position optimally. He already has the foundation for it in regards to work ethic and values. So, yeah, we took a stab at that. It's been great. Like our attrition's been awesome, and that's his primary metric that we're holding him responsible for. So, I probably get too involved. I probably don't have to, jump in. Hey, is there an issue with this staff member? What's going on? What happened here? I probably don't have to get as involved, but yeah, I like to sometimes. But yeah, he's been doing an awesome job.
Values, long tryout, keeping your eye out for talent, letting people move up into roles. It's like these are obviously good things that have gone well for you. I'm curious, James. You mentioned, you know, oh, where we are and where we're going. What's next? What's the vision for PPT?
Yeah, we're not very good right now at opening up gyms. It's just a long, drawn out process, and it's not extremely exciting or interesting to me. Like I want if I could wake up tomorrow and another gym's open, I'd love that. But I use Stu, Gym Real Estate. He's
Hmm.
been awesome, but he does without him, without him, we still have one location. And then also John, who opened up, who now owns an Alloy. John played a huge role in us opening up Hillsboro, as did Jamie. But John was like, he's like, dude, I love this. Like, I'll go. I knew at that point in time that he would be leaving in the next year or so to open up his own gym. But he's like, this gives me practice at opening up a gym. I'm gonna do it at some point anyway. So if you don't want to do this and you want to have me do it, I'd gladly grab the bull by the horns. And he did. He did an awesome job. So now we're looking at a lot of places. I've had a lot of good conversations with people who have gone multi-facility, and what their thought process is and what their action steps are. And I see the mistakes I've made to this point, which are kind of, common sense. Don't put all your eggs in the one basket and stop looking in other places, because if it falls through, then you're back to square one. It's like, oh, that's actually really smart.
That's it. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, so we're like we've signed like 5 LOIs, and like we'll yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, the ultimate goal right now, I don't have a specific preference of the zone of model that I'd like to do every single location. I guess in a perfect world with how great Hillsborough has been, the one trainer at a time, 6-to-1 model, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet makes perfect sense. And there's a lot of people running that play. But I am at this moment not going to shy away from a little bit bigger space that could be a 2-zone model, or a little bit even bigger space that could be a 3-zone model in a great area. So I hate to say that I don't have a truly organized thought as to what the space should look like and what exactly it's going to be and how many employees. But right now, until we start opening up gyms so fast that I don't have time to think about it, I'm going to evaluate the spot, see what I think it could be, and then make a decision on it and then move forward from there.
Yeah, I think that's wise words. Wise words. And I mean, the interesting thing with you is, gosh, it's not like going bigger would be something new for you, right? Like you're running 30 people in a session doing true semi-private. So anything in between that, it's like, oh, I've actually seen this work before. And now you've seen it work in effectively 3 different locations, right? The original location that was more of a sublet situation, the wedding tent, and then it's like, okay, we got to do it all again in our own spot, I guess. And you've done it there and gotten that up to 800 again. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we're a marketing company, we're a marketing podcast, James. Shit, let's talk about some marketing shit. How do you think about this marketing shit at this point?
Yeah, I mean, going back to 2000, like I was the classic gym owner that up to that point in time said like, or word of mouth. And like, we weren't the company that said that just because like we didn't know how to, well, it was because we didn't know how to do anything else, but it wasn't because we weren't successful. We were doing well, doing just that. But the thought was, what, how much better could we be if we're really that good at customer experience? Then the people who complain about the quality of people they get from Facebook, maybe we are the type of business that makes those people become paid customers better than most other businesses. And that I think that's held true. I think there's probably a few years in which we really had to understand our identity better and how we want to be perceived by somebody external to our business. It was very easy to get people within our business, our current customers, to talk about us to their friends and say the things we would want them to say. But we didn't really know how to talk about what it is that we do to people external, the potential prospects. So I think we've kind of got our bearings there, and that the 40 to 60 nervous, insecure, failed fitness many times, failed diets, have gone to the polarizing extremes of doing everything then doing nothing multiple times, and they're worried that they're going to get hurt in the gym, and they want something sustainable, and they care more about exercising consistently 2 to 3 days per week for the next 10 years more than they do about the 50-pound weight loss thing. Like, I have some hot takes on that, but 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 yeah, ultimately, like I think we're now saying the right things to our audience to get more and better leads, and I think that's been working out really well. And then just pretty much going all in on the outside of referrals, going all in on Facebook. We get all of our customers are from referrals and Facebook. That's pretty much 92% of the members that we sign up on a monthly basis are one of those 2 sources.
That's a fun thing to hear. And for the dear listeners on the other side, I try to say this anytime I talk about quote unquote testimonials. I spoke at an event in Orlando and name drop some folks. I'm like, guys, to be very clear, like all of these humans that I mention as testimonials, like they would be successful regardless of whether or not they work with GMM. And James is like the best example of that because he was more successful than like you like in the top like 1% of 1% of gym owners before you started doing any marketing, any paid digital marketing, et cetera, whatsoever. James is the perfect example of that. But you had a very interesting take on, enlisting an agency to help you with this stuff. I would love if you would expound on those thoughts. I thought there was good wisdom there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd start off by saying that recently, like over the last year, we've had a very solid cost per lead and cost per acquisition that we're very, very happy with. But the thing that I've talked to our staff about before is like, what if it was worse? How much worse could it be before we decide that we're going to do our own ads or something like that? And I think the answer is like, it could be like we would allow it to be way worse because the amount of time that we save to get these leads is insane. So, like, I think the biggest thing, like, in line with what we've been talking about, like, if part of the issue is that your product isn't good enough and you're not fixing that or you're not managing your employees well, like, if that's not sound, then I just don't know if running your own ads for 10 to 15 hours a week is a good use of your time. Like, I would, you're losing money for having these people come in and have a subpar experience. Fix that experience, simultaneously have somebody else generate the leads for you when it comes to paid ads, and then just get those people in and have them have a better experience. And I think a lot of gym owners will look at it much differently when that happens because they're like, how much money can I spend on doing this now that I'm giving people a great experience and they're staying on to become paid customers. Like, it's almost ridiculous to think about doing it on your own and trying to generate your own leads if you can get, and you probably know better than me. I don't even know how many total leads we get from Facebook on a monthly basis, but to get those amount of leads and then be able to spend the time on optimizing our sales process and optimizing our experience instead of hiring a separate staff or me personally learning how to run paid ads. Now, it's hard to say that I should be doing anything different to acquire leads. I have my mother-in-law, uh, she runs a magazine company locally, and she's awesome. I love her, and like her heart's in the right place. She wants us to run ads, and I'm like, for like, I've run some ads here and there in her magazine. I'm like, you don't understand, and like, and she's great. She doesn't hold it against me or anything, thank God. But I'm like, for the cost that you charge me an ad, I'm guaranteed X amount of customers. I'm like, I can't trade that $700 that I'd be giving to an agency and paying to Facebook. I can't trade that for this article in this magazine. It doesn't make a ton of sense. And I think the same thought process exists for my time. Like, I wouldn't trade the money that I'm paying an agency in Facebook. I wouldn't trade that money to have to go put in an extra X amount of hours per week on doing that. It just wouldn't make sense.
It's I think a laser focus on the thing that you are uniquely qualified to do. So could I train up your training staff the way, or manage your team the way that you're managing your team with your system right now? Like, maybe I could learn it at some point. Like, it's not like I've never been in the gym business, but goddamn, I feel like you're going to be way the hell better at that. And then I'm going to be, executing on those things. And so I feel like a lot of gym owners, when they stay stuck because they want to, I don't know if it's step over dollars to pick up pennies or whatever the correct term is, but it's like, oh, I'm going to try to save a little bit here, then eat up a chunk of my time that, as you have shown, it's like, what if you focused on your product 70% as much of what you guys have done over the years? Because I think the lion's share of your growth has come down to how great your product is. What we haven't talked about is how competitive that marketplace that you are playing in is. And they have 800 members doing semi-private training where they have dozens of alternative options, probably within a very, very short drive, James. It's like, the product is the thing and your team delivers the product. So when you have a team, you spending your time developing said team, and now at your level, developing the people that develop the team, it's like, that makes a hell of a lot more sense to me than fumbling around at trying to figure out, oh, wait, what audience should I target for this ad, and how do I connect to form to the automation and everything else? Yeah, it's telling. It all lines up with the success that you've obviously earned over the years. So cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Yeah, I would say if anybody even feels like they have a lead gen constraint, you talked about constraints and bottlenecks years ago, but I'd imagine that in just some conversations I've had, the people that decide to do this on their own, seemingly it's because they have a bottleneck, that they perceive their bottleneck to be lead generation, so they want to fix it themselves. And on the surface, that sounds like it makes sense. But imagine eliminating that constraint by hiring and then moving on to the next constraint and fixing two constraints at once. Like, now we're talking about a completely different business.
Well, I didn't say it. The most successful single location gym owner on planet Earth did, guys. That's all I have to say about that. Uh, yeah, I almost want to let you keep waxing philosophical on that, but I kind of want some fun other random questions. James, was there anything you wish I would have asked you that I haven't asked you so far? Something that you'd want to share with the dear gym owners' earballs on the other side of this?
I think yeah, I guess another thing, and you mentioned on one of the podcasts, I was listening to this, um, that you mentioned, if this is in terms of marketing to fitness people, like if you like fitness, come to our gym. You said something along those lines. And it's so funny. Like I think that largely is a big issue for a lot of gym owners is thinking that when they create a gym that they're going to have a bunch of fitness competent people that are fitness obsessed. And truth be told, for all of you that are running, even if you want to call it a lower cost large group product, like those people are just going to do it themselves. Like the net benefit they get for hiring you instead of just going to the gym themselves, so, like, why would they not go to the local gym that offers large group and gym access for lesser than what you're charging? It's just I don't know if that's the population to be chasing as a whole when it comes to marketing. Going back to our marketing messaging, it's like it's the people that feel like the gym is not for them. If you want to make an impact for a lot of people, it's be the gym for the people that don't think they belong in the gym. And I think once we became hyper focused on that, um, a lot of things changed with our marketing messaging and with how we delivered the product and how we speak to the customers and making sure that we're not being hard asses. And like, yeah, every once in a while when someone's back squatting for a set of 5, do we get excited? Yes, but we try not to bring so much attention to it that the person that's doing a goblet squat with 7.5 pounds feels out of place. Like I think that's if I can kind of touch on both the marketing and the product, it's like be the gym that if you can go back to the first time you walked into a gym, I guarantee you were nervous, you were scared, you were insecure. I remember it like it was yesterday. Imagine being 50 years old and feeling that and not 12. Like that's what they are experiencing when they go into your gym. So be the place that makes those people feel welcome and be the place that can make the biggest net difference in those people's lives. Because the person that's coming to your gym that's 14% body fat, getting them to 12, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They're not writing a testimonial talking about how you changed their life. They're talking about how because they skipped dessert for a few weeks, they look a little bit better. But the person whose life you want to legitimately change, they don't go to the gym right now. They sit on the couch, they feel inadequate, they feel out of place. If you could change that, you are going to make a significant net difference in those people's lives. And then guess who they know? A lot of other people in the same situation. And if you want to talk about getting referrals, it's probably from that population. And mind you, just to add to that, that's everybody. That's not a small pocket of people. The vast percentage of people in the world right now, or at least in the United States, they're not in the gym. They're not going to the gym right now. So if you can get the highest percentage of people to feel like you are servicing them and do a good job at it, I think that's when people like they hear 800 members, small group personal training, but I don't think that's unreasonable to at least accomplish half of that for any gym if at least your marketing and your delivery are solid. And of course, your sales have to be on point too.
I just want to mic drop the ever loving,
Yeah.
you know what, out of that right now. Yeah, like I can't tell you how many, I just want people who understand good training. Like they understand what strength and conditioning is. Like, yeah, like that person doesn't need you. They're training in their garage. And this is coming from a self-professed meathead, not me. It's like James, former
We
college.
we worked that together. You're a meathead.
Yeah. I think I'm still
At the
sore
heart.
from New Orleans 3 years ago or whatever it is. That's my thing. I've got heart right now. At some point, I'm gonna get healthy again, guys. But it's the problem you're solving is bigger when you do what James just talked about. People will pay more to solve bigger problems. Also, who do you think is going to stay longer? If you the person who like kind of fell out of it but knows what they're doing and just like wants a month or two to get back into things, or the person who has never won in this health and fitness world. And I used to have a really crude analogy for this that was akin to making people fall in love after after the first time, which
Yeah.
I don't think is necessarily that appropriate anymore. But it's like I'm sorry, like, I'm not gonna say it. You've been the first introduction to making fitness a fun, safe avenue for progress and growth in their life. Like, they are a lot less likely to go look for other fitness boyfriends and girlfriends because you were a caring, nurturing partner that first time, right? Like, it's a positive thing. It's a bigger market. It'll make you more money. I think you'll end up finding, because I started the same way, right? Trying to train athletes back in the day and then progress more and more onto the adult side. Like, it's infinitely more fulfilling than, the 25-year-old former football player, I think, thinks it's going to be once you actually get into it. So I love that. James, you got any hot takes on where you think the industry is going, or what do you think is next for the industry? Like, what's
Yeah,
something you feel like you disagree with?
Yeah, I can't imagine, I can't imagine small group training completely taking over one-on-one at some point, especially with advances of technology. Like the person I fear putting me out of business would be the person who is somehow able to leverage tech to the point of creating what we've created with human effort over the last decade in a heartbeat. So I think that's real. I think that's a possible thing. Also, in talking to Mark, something that it's something I've thought about before in the past, and only on the surface level that I've heard him talk about recently was, kind of like how do you make something that is such a high quality service, high touch service, but make it affordable and able to encompass the masses. I don't know, and like I think those were his words too. Like I'm not sure how to do it, and I second that. But I think there might be something that is able to, feed 85% of the customization that we currently possess. That is half the price. That is appealing to a lot of people. So I don't know. I think that might be a thing. If there's one other super hot take, alluding to what I said before, it's that people don't give a shit about results. And I think they say that, and the reference I always say to our sales team is like, you're talking to two people when they are talking to you. You're talking to what they say, but there's also what they actually feel and the things that they're not going to say, or maybe they're not even consciously aware enough of that thought to be able to verbalize it. So I think a lot of people just want to start exercising and this hyper focus on like, sell and no knock on you or anybody else who does present this message, but like, don't sell them the plane flight, sell them the destination. I kind of reject that. And I think making an awesome plane flight is actually the best way to get people to want to go on vacation. And using me as an example, I get motion sick very easily. And I'm not going to Hawaii anytime soon because I'm fearful that I'm going to get motion sick. But if you promise me a plane flight that would not get me motion sick, and I had a private masseuse and a personalized television that already knew exactly what I wanted to watch, and I could take a nap the whole time, I had my own king size bed. Like, we're talking about a whole different experience. Sell me that plane flight. I actually don't give a shit about Hawaii as much. And I think that is largely true with the people that we have. And I have gym owners come in probably on a once a week basis just to stop by, see what we do. And
Yeah.
a lot of them are like, oh, well, like the results. And I'm like, guys, I think you're missing the point. I was like, these people need a home to give them fitness. They want to work out. They're not working out consistently. If they don't get results, they know it's because they don't eat good on the weekend. They know that. Like, they're still gonna ask you. They're still gonna say, like, "Hey, like, I'm working out and I didn't lose weight." Like, we know, they know. There's gonna be 3 out of 100 people that are gonna genuinely be confused as to how you could possibly exercise and drink 4 glasses of wine on Friday, Saturday night, and go out to dinner and not lose weight. Like, there's gonna be a few, but that's not the masses. They come in and they know they should exercise, and if they could eat whatever they want on the weekends and not gain weight and strength train and maybe put on a little bit of muscle, feel stronger, see the weights go up. That's what they're chasing. They don't really care about losing 30 pounds that much. And if they did, they'd lose the 30 pounds in fucking 3 months and then they would leave your gym. So I don't think, I think we're kind of missing the boat on the destination thing, and we oversell the result and we don't prioritize the next step enough and making the plane flight a little bit sexier somehow, instead of just saying, oh yeah, if you sign up today, you'll lose 30 pounds. And now you're attached to a result that you can't fucking guarantee. And then when they don't do that, you sound like a liar. So we ask them what their goals are, but we don't become hyper focused on that. We don't talk about it anymore. We have that first conversation, talk about the results. What do you want to do? This is what I think you should do. If at any point in time you want to talk about nutrition, I'm happy to do it. I love those conversations. If you want to talk about behavior change and altering one meal per day to potentially lead to sustainable nutrition behavior changes and long-term benefits. I was 270 pounds in college. I'm 190 now. Like I'd love to have those conversations if you're ready for it. But I'm not going to be out there like you've said on a post before. I'm not going to be out there selling nutrition and then attaching your result, for better or worse, to my advice to you. I'd rather just give you advice and you could take it or leave it. In regards to outside of the gym stuff, I want to give you a great training experience. A lot of you are going to get great results no matter what. Some of you are not, but you're going to know that even if you didn't achieve the result you want of losing 20 pounds, if you hadn't been exercising and you'd been behaving the same, you would have gained 20 pounds. So technically, you really did lose 20 pounds by not gaining pounds.
I actually love this. I love the take. I mean,
That's a spicy one.
Yeah, I do think it is very spicy though.
Yeah.
Because there is so much like sell the vacation and not the flight. I've certainly been quoted as saying sell the smile, not the braces. Yeah, braces is a harder one to make fun. I don't know if you can make braces like super comfortable. Maybe don't sell the braces. Let's focus on vacation analogies here. But yeah, I think making it about the journey and making the journey enjoyable and have the journey itself deliver growth, progress, community, etc. It's like those are the reasons people stay, and it's not necessarily just the results part, right? It's like I know I'm doing something positive, I'm connecting with people I like I feel better, all those things. Yeah, I think that's great wisdom, and I have kept you way too long, James. Where can people follow you if they want to stalk you? Is there anything you want to do hyper pitchy right now? I know you have so much in your guru space for trainers. This is your chance to launch it. Where can we find more from?
No, I got
James
nothing.
Pratt?
Like you pointed out, I am very not famous, and I want to second that to you guys. I don't think you guys are famous enough, and I do want to point out a quote from you years ago when you said, and I probably won't use exact words or say certain people, but you said something along the lines of, we're going to become great. And you were referring to Gym Member Machine. And I just want to say, look at you now. Fucking, you're doing a hell of a job. So, that was maybe 3-4 years ago. And you're probably at this point of like, we're doing good, but we just haven't like done that thing yet to like really explode. And I want to commend you on the job that you have done to grow your business, sir.
No. Well, thank you so much. It's because of awesome people like you, James. And I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean that sincerely. Yeah, you'll need to find James on Instagram and follow. I don't know if he's doing anything there anymore, but man, there used to be. I was scrolling all your recent. You don't have a bunch of recent stuff, but there's another episode with you and our mutual pal Mike Baker. You've got some good training wisdom. If you go, what is it? Is it Pratt 53? I don't even know. I feel like it's
Pratt 53 is my personal handle. The coolest thing on there is that I deadlifted 600 maybe 8 years ago, and it's probably the last selfie video I've taken too. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe it was the Pratt personal training one. You had some good stuff where I was like, oh man, if I was gonna open a gym again, I'd be listening to this guy. But ton of wisdom. Appreciate you sharing your time, your experience, etc. With the GMM audience. And at some point, I'll twist your giant biceps and ask you to come back on again. Appreciate you, James. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.